Hello, and welcome to Money Talk. The topic of conversation today is the wealth gap. Currently in this country, the great United States of America, white Americans make up 58 percentile of the country's population, and currently they control 84.2 to 85% of the wealth in the United States. Black Americans, on the other hand, looks like we hold 3.4% of the wealth in the United States. So they broke it down to basically black households own 4% of every dollar. But to make this a little more simple or bring it close to home, the median black household wealth, not income, and this was in 2020. Well, from the census was taken between 2022 and 2023. The median black household wealth is 44,000 to 45,000. That's your wealth. That means what's that? That's assets minus all the liabilities, so your net worth. And while the white household is going to be averaging 285 to 287,000. So let's deep dive in that a little further. Up front, bottom line up front, I think me personally, I think the best equilibrium to that is the stock market. Sorry, I'm gonna keep trying to hit this home. I think to close the gap into those numbers, we gotta participate in the stock market. I think that will help close that gap. Home ownership is another way to close that gap because a lot of a lot of individuals in this country, their wealth is tied up into their homes. That's going to have to be another topic on Money Talk because I think we do have a home buying crisis on our hands right now, or it's definitely more difficult now than it was in the past 10 years for sure. Seems like it's getting tough. I don't know. I have kids. I'm going to have to figure it out because it's tougher for them to get out there and get their first homes. You know, tougher now than it was when I was at that stage. So back to the wealth gap though. I would have to say definitely, if I could give my advice, which, okay, that's the reason why we're doing Money Talk. First of all, I came to find out that I have to have an interest in finance, and those close to you, a lot of times, people close to you won't listen to, or if you do listen to you, or if they do listen to you, it seems like they don't really acknowledge it, so you don't really know. So anyway, my goal is the reason why I started Money Talk and going to continue to have these conversations because one, I don't think we talk about finance enough. I don't think we talk about it early enough. And my goal is simply just to help whoever I can. And broadcasting this over the internet airways is the best solution that I came up with to do that. So there's that little spiel. To close the gap, in my opinion, again, utilizing the stock market. If the whole thing goes bottoms out, they say, "What if the stock market bottoms out?" Well, everybody's gonna take a hit. You know, on the other end of that spectrum, what if it continues to goes up as it has over the course of since it was created? If you don't participate, then you don't reap benefits. You reap what you sow. That's first and foremost. If you don't put skin in the game, then you're not going to get any of the proceeds from the increase. Again, that's one I would leave out there for you. Two, which probably should have been one, is get your income up. I'm not too far out of touch. I worked two jobs for 10 years. I had a full-time job and worked a part-time job. Did that for 10 years just to get more extra income in. If you're a man and you got a family, you got to do what you got to do. That's just the bottom line of it. The goal is to uh, increase your earnings and, well, in the simplest ways to put it, increase money coming in and decrease the money going out. That's the simplest formula that I can provide. Um, yeah, increase the funds coming in and decrease the funds going out. Whatever you got to do to do that. Obviously, get rid of the debt. It's just rocks in your backpack. You don't want to be carrying that extra load. So get rid of the debt, increase your income. The goal is to have enough disposable income to participate in the Standard and Poor 500 and rock out from there. You can do reoccurring. I just shift money over as I can. Again, I utilize my brokerage account as my main vehicle storing my funds now. I wish I would have known that years ago. I would have been better off. Basically, what I'm trying to say is I utilize bank accounts, your typical bank accounts, just for paying bills. And some now even I gotten even better with that. I just put that on certain cards to where I can get benefits from it. So really, I just utilize my my bank accounts just to as soon as as soon as the light bill goes from my card, I utilize my bank account to get that off of my card. So it's just I got a pretty good system going. So again, utilize those brokerage accounts as soon as you're 18, or if you can do a custodial account for your young ones, that's fantastic. Um, I didn't have the disposable income coming up to where I should have been uh, setting money aside for my kids' college. So I cash flow that, and I still utilize my brokerage account just to get. At least I started with the brokerage account early enough to where I can use the gains in that and use that towards the kids' college. Trying to set them up to where they have as less student loan as possible. That is the goal for me right now as a father. And again, this is about closing the wealth gap. Hey, let's chip away at it. Let's participate. And let's have these conversations. I'm willing to learn, and I think you can learn from anybody. If drop the game in the comments. Again, I don't think we had these conversations enough. And when I do get out there and start helping people, I'm not gonna. Seems like cats. Thank you for relaying the knowledge, but I guess they get frustrated in the journey, and then they just start they get a following and they start talking trash to the people who are there, and it's like that's what we do. But I just want to help as many people as I can. Um, yeah, I like finances. Um, I know the rules, play the rules of the game. Um, again, follow Dave Ramsey Solutions. They they got a good setup going on over there. It's a good one size fits all. I think they're a little stuck in their ways, but their processes are effective. But I think it's more than one way to get a task done. It boils down to behavior. But we're gonna have these conversations. I don't want to belabor it or run this video too long, but let's work on the main way we can close this wealth gap. It's not even about closing the wealth gap. That's just the statistics is what it is. It's about setting your own self up for a better financial future for yourself and for your offsprings if you have them. Or you can donate or whatever. Setting it up for yourself or your offsprings. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. Until next time, take care of yourself, take care of each other. More conversations to come for sure. This is great. We'll see you on the next one. Money Talk. Peace.